For centuries, humanity has asked one question that pierces through every religion, every philosophy, and every heart that seeks truth. What happens after we die? Heaven, hell, or something more? What if, long before dogmas and decrees, the early followers of Christ believed something far more profound, that the soul does not die, but returns again and again until it remembers who it truly is? Tonight, we uncover a mystery buried beneath 2,000 years of silence, a secret that once echoed through the sacred halls of early Christianity, before it was banned, erased, and declared heresy. This is the story of how reincarnation was removed from the Bible, and why.
To understand how this idea vanished, we must travel back to a time before the Church became an empire. The first centuries after Jesus' death were not what we imagine. There was no single Bible, no single church, no unified doctrine. Christianity was a living river, flowing, branching, merging with ancient wisdom from Egypt, Greece, Persia, and India. Early Christian mystics did not see the soul as trapped in one lifetime. They saw it as eternal, a traveler through many worlds, purifying itself through experience and love. Among them was one man whose name still echoes through time, Origen of Alexandria.
Origen was no ordinary theologian. He was a visionary, a philosopher, a mystic, a man who believed that divine truth could not be confined to a single creed. He taught that before being born, each soul existed with God, and after death it would return, reborn again, to continue its journey toward perfection. For Origen, reincarnation wasn't fantasy, it was divine logic. How could a just God judge a soul from only one short lifetime? How could eternity be decided by a few fleeting decades? Origen wrote, "Each soul comes into the world strengthened by the victories or weakened by the defeats of its previous lives." He believed that through countless lives the soul would learn, purify, and evolve, until finally it reunited with the divine source. But not everyone agreed. By the 4th century, Christianity was changing. Rome, once the persecutor, had now become its protector. And with imperial protection came imperial control. Emperor Constantine, and later his successors, wanted one church, one belief system, one truth that could unite the empire. Reincarnation, however, was dangerous. If a soul could perfect itself across many lives, then salvation did not depend entirely on priests or sacraments. If God gave multiple chances, then fear, the Church's greatest tool, would lose its power. A religion built on grace and forgiveness could survive, but one built on control could not tolerate spiritual independence. In the year 553 A.D., Emperor Justinian called the Second Council of Constantinople. He had one goal: to silence every belief that challenged his vision of Christian unity. Origen's writings were brought forward. His followers were accused of spreading heresy, the dangerous idea that souls reincarnate, and that salvation lies within personal evolution rather than obedience to the Church.
With the help of his powerful and ruthless wife, Empress Theodora, Justinian decreed, "If anyone declares the pre-existence of souls, or the monstrous restoration that follows from it, let him be anathema." And so it was done. Reincarnation erased. Origen condemned. His books burned. A veil of silence fell over one of the most profound ideas of early Christianity.
But even within the Bible, traces of this forbidden belief remain, hidden between the lines. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "Elijah has already come, and they did not recognize him." He was referring to John the Baptist. To many early Christians, this meant one thing: Elijah had been reborn. And in the book of John, when the disciples see a man born blind, they ask, "Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Why would they ask that, unless they believed the man had lived before? Even the phrase "born again," spoken by Jesus to Nicodemus, takes on a deeper meaning. Was he speaking of spiritual rebirth, or the soul's return to learn once more? These questions were left unanswered, or perhaps deliberately silenced. As centuries passed, reincarnation faded from Western thought. But truth has a way of resurfacing. Through contact with the East, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism, the idea returned, reawakening something deep in the Western soul. It wasn't just religion, it was psychology, philosophy, and science. Dr. Ian Stevenson spent decades studying children who remembered past lives. Their stories, verified and documented, opened doors the church had tried to close. Therapists like Brian Weiss found that exploring past lives could heal emotional scars carried from beyond this lifetime. And spiritual thinkers, from Emerson to the Dalai Lama, spoke of the soul's long journey toward enlightenment. Perhaps reincarnation was never truly erased. Perhaps it survived, not in pages, but in hearts. Maybe, deep inside, humanity has always known that we are more than this single lifetime. Because when we look at the stars, when we feel a strange familiarity in a stranger's eyes, when a child speaks of a life they could not possibly remember, something within us whispers, "You have been here before." And maybe, just maybe, the truth they tried to bury was never meant to be forgotten. If reincarnation was banned to control belief, then rediscovering it is not rebellion, it is remembrance. Whether you believe in one life or many, the message remains the same. Every soul is on a journey, a sacred return to its divine origin. And no council, no empire, no decree can silence that eternal truth.